Hi, this is John Wren, and this is the Startup Show. We're here each day, Monday through Friday now, live by 5 p.m. each day. By 5 in the afternoon, we will be on the air live, and we'll be posting notices. The time will vary for the live broadcast, but by 5 o'clock, something will go up that you can come back to in the evening and take a look at. And if you want to be on the show as a guest to share your startup experience, call and leave a complete message. I'm the only one with the code to the voicemail box. It's confidential. Take as much time as you'd like. But what I like the best is your elevator talk. Just how do you introduce yourself to people? And just a little bit about why you think you'd be a good guest. So if you'd like to be live by 5 next week, the week after, we'll get a date on the calendar, and just give us a call, 303-861-1447. Now, this is John Wren, the Startup Show. We talk about, surprisingly enough, startup, how things go from imagination to creative action. The IDEA model, IDEA, is something that I got the great privilege of spending a year of my life researching business creativity. And it was the foundation for a seminar that was written up by AT&T's Longline magazine, Creative Marketing in a Recession. And I've used it for nearly 20 years with Idea Cafe startup workshops here in Denver. 5280 magazine says that we've infused Denver with an entrepreneurial spirit. I hope that's true. I hope I'm partly responsible. There's definitely an entrepreneurial spirit here. And based on the recommendation of a, believe it or not, Catholic priest, I did a retreat, and he suggested that I try to take what I was doing to the next level because it seemed to be helping people, and that I ought to try to put it together in some way that I could pass the torch. If I died right then, everything I was talking about really would have come to an end. And I'm not sure we're all that much further from that point. You know, they say we teach what we most need to learn. And I'm not so sure I'm very good at startup, but I think I do have an understanding of startup that comes from my mistakes. Really, life's too short for any of us to just learn from our own mistakes. So I have learned from mistakes. I have not hit the home run, but I've worked with people who have. I opened up Forbes magazine. There is somebody that's one of the 400 wealthiest people in America. And I had worked with him back in the very early days. Now, it's not that he owed his success to me, obviously, but I was there when it happened. My father, I grew up with a very successful entrepreneur, and I saw him, my earliest memory is being about 2 years old and him calling me to go to his warehouse with him. And I saw him and worked with him over the next 20 years, build a very successful business and sell it, and then struggle. He tried a couple of other things that didn't work out. So I saw what worked. I saw what didn't work. And what I became more and more clear on is that businesses just don't start the way that we're told that they should start. You know, I say I'm a recovering MBA because a lot of what I learned in graduate business I've had to overcome to actually be helpful to people who are starting something new. If this resonates with you at all, I'd love to have you on the show as a guest at some point. You can call and leave a complete message anytime. Your elevator talk is what I like the best, but then also, why would you be a good guest? I'll get back to you on the phone and we'll set a date. And I'm going to be doing that with Holly Collins. If you go to our Facebook page, you'll see a very fine video interview of Holly, not by me, but with someone else. And Holly, we are going to have on the show hopefully next week sometime. But you can watch a video of her right now. If you'll do the same thing, not maybe such an extended video as what Holly did this time, but your elevator talk on video is ideal. But if not video, your text of who you are, what you do, what you say to people in 30 seconds as you're riding up the elevator, your elevator talk. If you post it as a status update on our Facebook page, and call me, and you're going to be a guest on the show, then we will promote it into the live news feed. So our Facebook page is at Small Business Chamber. divided by periods, no spaces. SMALL period business, BUSINESS period chamber, CHAMBER, small business chamber divided by dots, no spaces. If you go to facebook.com, put that in, we'll come right up, and you can post your elevator talk there as a status update. And then if you call me, leave your elevator talk on the recording and anything else you want to say, then I will promote that into the live news feed, as I have done with Holly's. Holly's is a little bit on the long side, but it's certainly worth watching. She talks about how she's started her adventures in dance, and we'll hope to have her on with us next week to talk about that. So this is the Startup Show. I'm going to keep it somewhat short when it's not a guest like today, but each day, live by 5, we will try to have a guest. We'll be getting word out about when it will be live, and we're going to try to work out a way that you can actually participate and ask questions by Twitter. If you Twitter a question right now that you've got about startup, then we'll talk about it on the next show. The Twitter address is right here, @Idea Cafe. Idea Cafe is a little bit on hold right now. Panera Bread, where we had met for ever since it opened, it closed. 13th and Grant's closed. We're looking for another location. When we find it, we will restart the Idea Cafe Startup Workshop on Friday afternoon. And it's a place where we will be inviting people that are guests live by 5 to come and be face-to-face with people. If not this week, maybe next week. And we'll ask Holly about that when she's on. We may have a place to announce very soon. If you have an idea for a place that we could meet in the downtown area that might be a good replacement for Panera Bread, let me know. How about the state capitol? Maybe we could figure out a way to be there. That just came to my mind. So the other thing that I'm encouraging people to do, we have a new startup method that we're talking about, the Small Business Chamber of Commerce Startup Method. It's comprised of 4 practices. Faith, the faith process of recovery, being in conscious contact with a higher power. Practice your own religion, but whatever religion we practice, it brings us, I believe, to the same place. There's a God that we worship, whether you're Catholic, whether you're Protestant, whether you're Jewish, Muslim, whatever you are. The idea is to be in conscious contact with a higher power, but that's your religion and that's your own business. But what we do with faith and recovery is share what we have in common. That's Bill Wilson's biggest gift to the world, is this idea that we can sit down around a table and talk about our spiritual experience in a way that we talk about what we have in common and not our differences. And there's a meeting every Monday if you'd like to know more about the 12 steps and meditation. It's free and open to everybody. It's called Root and Branch, and it's 1311 York Street on the 3rd floor at 4:30 each Monday. And it is an open Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. It is not our meeting, but it's something we cooperate with. And we're looking for others to cooperate with too. If you are working with startups and kind of share our philosophy, we'd love to talk with you. Now, if you share our philosophy, how can you tell? Well, look at my little book. It's 99 cents on Amazon Kindle. I'll give you $1 back if you get the book and don't find it helpful. It's also in the process of revision, and we're looking for a few good startup stories to put in the back of it. So that's on our website, smallbizchamber.org, SMALLBIZCHAMBER, smallbizchamber.org. And you can see there at the top tab, Startup Stories, what the requirements are and how you can submit one to us for the fully revised edition that we're putting together. Is sort of a membership handbook for the Small Business Chamber of Commerce. And the philosophy basically is that businesses don't start the way the SBA says that they should start. But that's part of why we're in a bit of a tailspin economically, is that we've gotten this idea that if we do careful market research, careful strategic planning, like General Motors and others have to do for fiduciary reasons, but if we do that, that we'll be successful. And just the opposite is true. Research has shown that small businesses that follow that path almost always fail. businesses that are successful do not do what the Small Business Administration in the past has told them that they should do. So I don't know if there's liability there or not, but it's outrageous. They don't at least read Amar Bahiti's book, The Origin and Evolution of New Businesses. He did careful research. They've never rebutted it. Sarath-Varthy, University of Virginia, has done some good research, and the expression of that I like the best is Just Start, published by Harvard Business Review Press. I thought it would go to the top of the bestseller list, barely created a ruffle, but you can still get it. Just Start. If you read that in my little book, you'll kind of see what our philosophy is, and we'll be expressing that in the revised edition. If you've got a startup story that you'd like in that revised edition, it's kind of our membership handbook, submit it to a smallbizchamber.org. So we're looking for individuals and organizations. Root and Branch is one, Mondays at 4:30. Socrates Cafe, they're popping up all over. Chris Phillips wrote a book called Socrates Cafe. It inspired many, many of these groups. They're all over the place. I do sort of an instructed Socrates Cafe. Chris would hate me saying that because he's got a way of doing it that's very powerful. He puts on his website. But this is a technique that we've used here in Denver for 10 years. And it stimulates a lot of good thinking. You know, that's one of the practices is thinking. And we encourage you to go to the Socrates Cafe, wherever you are, to sharpen your thinking skills. And here in Denver, I'll be tonight at Panera Bread, 16th Street Mall, right across from the Market Street Station. That's at 6 o'clock each Friday evening. And tomorrow, Saturday, at the University of Denver in the Anderson Academic Commons. It used to be called the Penrose Library. It's a wonderful place. It's still a library, but Anderson Academic Commons is what they call it now. And if you look on meetup.com, the Socrates, Colorado, divided by hyphens. So Colorado hyphen Socrates hyphen Cafe hyphen Society, divided by dashes, no spaces. So Colorado Socrates Cafe Society. Information about these and other groups will come up. We're starting something new at Trinity Church next week. Thursdays at 6 o'clock, we'll be having a lecture by a Princeton philosopher on Socrates, Plato, and the Dialogues. And then we will be discussing it, and that's followed by a Socrates Cafe at the same location. That's Thursdays, 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock. 6 o'clock for the Princeton lecture and a bit of a discussion, and then 7 o'clock for the Socrates Cafe. That's each Thursday, but they're all on that meetup.com site, Colorado Socrates Cafe Society, divided by dashes. And so the practice is faith, thinking, imagination is the idea cafe, and then learning, adult self-directed learning, true self, not the selfish, self-centered self, but the true self when we're in a fit spiritual condition. And a great way to learn is individual self-directed learning, and there are ways to form a group that facilitate that process. In the modern world, written about by Malcolm Knowles, he's got some tremendous books on his experience with these. I think they're almost suppressed in the academic world, because if you read Malcolm Knowles carefully, you really don't need to go back for another bachelor's degree. That's crazy. You know, and adults have learning moments when you need to know something now, and that's, you know, you look for a class on it and maybe you wait a year. You need to know now. So self-directed learning, there's a Facebook page, self-directed learning, that we contribute to. You might take a look at that. But these groups, they go back to Benjamin Franklin. I think it was his best invention. He called his the Junto. Groups around the country pick up that name. Ed Sullivan in Philadelphia is doing Junto groups that I encourage people to take a careful look at. Now, what that ends up being, who knows? He's going to do it based on experience. He's a very successful entrepreneur, and it sounds to me like it would be I think if I were you, I might join Ed's group and not the one that I'm putting together. We also do Go Plus groups, where it's 3 people that would like to start that type of a group, and we work with them as they all get started, Go Plus groups, and that can be online. The face-to-face groups is important when you're trying to duplicate what Ben Franklin did. We've tried it online and it just seems to not quite gel, but we'll keep trying. And Ed may have come up with a way to do it online with more people that will really be very, very helpful. He's looking for some test cases right now. And you can find out information about that on my online presence. John Wren, if you just Google it, lots of stuff comes up. John S. Wren, Denver, Colorado. So, well, this is the start of something big, I hope. We're going to be doing this each day live by 5. If you'd like to be a guest, give us a call. Tell us why you want to be on. Contribute a story. Go to smallbizchamber.org. Look at the guidelines and contribute your startup story. We're looking for a few good stories to put in the fully revised edition of my book. My little book is on Amazon. Just go to Amazon, Google John Wren, Daring Mighty Things, and it will come right up for you in both the paperback and the Kindle version. The Kindle version is 99 cents. If you buy it and don't find it helpful, I'll give you $1 back if you'll give me a phone call. My number, 303-861-1447. I love talking to startups. If I can be helpful to you in any way at all, give me a call. Let's talk on the phone and see where you're at, where you want to go, and if there's anything I can do to be helpful to you. And maybe you can be helpful to me as we try to get these groups started across the country over the next year or so. This is a labor of love for me, but I need to get revenue coming in. All the groups I've talked about here today are free and open to everybody, at least in the beginning, and we may change that policy over the next year or so. But I want to maintain free groups as much as possible, because when you pay for education, it changes the way that you look at the world, and usually not for the better. We become too subservient to whoever we're paying the money to. I'm not at any of these groups as the expert telling you what to do. I'm there to learn as much as you are. But there's a way to facilitate that ends up not just becoming a bull session where, it may be enjoyable, but we just pass in the time of day. But it sharpens our thinking skills, sharpens our imagination, sharpens, I don't know if that's the right word for this, but for our faith. And if you go to smallbizchamber.org, you'll see a link to more about that. There'll be more coming out over the next few weeks, and we'll be talking about it each day on the Startup Show, now daily, Monday through Friday. To find it each day, just check out www.johnwren.com, JOHNWREN. There'll be a link there each day with the starting time once we've determined who the guest for the day is going to be. And next week, we're hoping for Holly Collins on Monday if she can make it. So Holly, if you see this and can do it, give me a call. Or anyone else. If you can do it Monday, we still need Monday's guests. We've got some others lined up for more down the road. Each time you come to johnwren.com, you'll see a link to the current, and I'll be open and up front there about who the guest is, and as soon as I know. So give me a call. Let me know why you'd be a good guest. Give me a call if you need help starting. Give me a call if you just want to give me your feedback on this show. What would make it more helpful to you? I try to remind myself and all of us each week when we've done this weekly and now each day that this life is very short. So don't waste any time. Let's go get started. Thanks for watching.